Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your November reading. So part 2 of this reading will be on Patreon, and then the mid-November reading for Sag will also be on Patreon. It just feels like about 2 weeks into the month, it's like, all right, I kind of want another reading. So Patreon's lit. Of course, part 2 and the mid-November reading will also be available on Vimeo. That link is below. Okay, take a deep breath. Here we go. Now, the urge to gravitate towards drama, especially in the relationship sector. The urge to gravitate towards people who will create drama. It's very, very strong. This could be really something that you do out of nowhere. Like everything is fine, you're in a committed relationship, and then you're just not. You're creating a situation yourself where you can't be in that scenario anymore. So you may find that you're sabotaging your own levels of security. It's like there's this strange thing that happens with Sagittarius, not strange to you, obviously, just strange to everybody else, where when you feel security slipping away from you, instead of damage control, there is a tendency among Sages to run towards the fire instead of away from the fire. What I mean by that is that you have a tendency to delve into the sabotage or make whatever bad decision you're slipping into, you have a tendency to kind of let yourself relax and slip more into it. It's a fatalism of sorts, right? It's like, okay, well, if things aren't going to go my way and it's not going to be the way I want it to be, then who cares? Then I'll just do whatever I want. Then it doesn't matter anymore. There's nothing left to salvage. And this throwing the baby out with the bathwater, especially when it comes to relationships, is so easy to indulge in right now because Mars is retrograde in Gemini. If you're a Sag rising, that's in your relationship sector. So the drama is around money, it's around love, it's around deception, and mainly this urge that you have to not do damage control, to not try to hold it together, to not keep plugging the holes in the boat. Let's see how many metaphors I can use. And instead just this fatalistic acquiescence, just, okay, fine, if that's how it is, then that's how it is, then I'm just not going to do anything. And then the step above that one, when Sag is really in a mood is, okay, well, then I'm going to do more stuff to fall even further down this slippery slope, right? Now, that all seems a little unconscious, right? When Mars stations direct, which will be in January, late January, this feeling you have of being out of step with your life, like I'm saying, instead of damage control and running away from the issue, you find yourself running towards the issue, all this out of step, this being out of harmony, right? For a horse, this is terrible. Like, how are you supposed to gallop if you can't keep your rhythm? This being out of rhythm, as soon as Mars stations direct in January, boom, all those reasons come forward. Everything that you're now doing from an unconscious place, and if someone were to ask you, like, why are you doing this? You can't really put a reason to this right now. You can't put your finger on it. But starting at the end of January, you're like, oh, okay, this is what's really bothering me, or this is what's really motivating me. And that might bother you. Your real motivations come to the surface. You're bothered. For a lot of you, you're going to realize that a relationship is something you've been holding on to for quite a while for the wrong reasons. You don't really want to be in a relationship. What you want is your dreams, your career, your money, your progress, your success. You know, some of you will realize that that sense of security that you got from that relationship, or for some of you, it's the opposite, from that job, it's just not fulfilling. It's not giving you what you need. It's actually really confusing because it was supposed to fix your life, and instead it feels like it's making things more and more hazy, you know. And here you are, very much yourself, trying to find the logic in it and hit the targets and make it make sense, and, you know, just keep it moving. But your trust in people is running so low. Now, either your trust is running low in people because you can't be trusted right now, or your trust is running low in people because, again, it's that tendency to slide into self-destruction. And I don't think you realize how you guys shift, how you Sages change when you don't trust someone. So you don't just stop at feeling unsafe or having a bad feeling about someone or wanting to take some distance. When your trust starts to run low, you guys can turn into stalkers because you're hunters. You know, you have a weapon, you're smart, you can stalk your prey, you can hunt your prey. Like, of course, that all sounds very aggressive, but you can do this emotionally. And when you feel unsafe is when you really start to do this. When you feel like trust is really low is when you really lean into this behavior. And you don't have the wherewithal right now in November to say, I'm doing this because I feel unsafe. But that is why you're doing it. So if you want to take that and sit with that instead of indulging in this behavior, I think that will be a lot more beneficial just for your growth and for your understanding of self, but also just a general level of quality of life and being happy day to day. You know, like deep distrust in people that almost borders on paranoia. Listen, I'm not saying that you should trust people. I'm not saying that anyone should trust anyone. I understand how deep your distrust goes for people. I get why Sages are the way they are. But there are levels to distrust and there are levels to doubt and suspicion. And right now, because it does feel so personal to you, like the universe has this thing, it's got it out for you. It wants to make you suffer. It wants to confuse you. It wants to humiliate you. This is what's going through your head. So this level, this deep distrust is what's forming. And it's a distrust that's backed up by resentment. And this distrust isn't necessarily directed at a person. It could genuinely be directed towards the universe. Like, do you have my back or not? Because it's starting to feel like you really don't have my back. Now, if you're one of those people that's feeling that way and you're feeling really, really insecure in your connection to others, your connection to money, your connection to the divine, there are certain truths that you have to face that will start to cascade on the 8th when we have this eclipse. But they're not easy truths, and they're going to irritate you because a lot of them put the ownership of how you feel right now on you. So, you know, figuring out what's making you insecure. Are you spending time with people that you know are lying to you? Are you spending time with people who are, you know, subverting what you want and sneak dissing you? And if you know that someone is being dishonest and you're entertaining it, are you now also being dishonest? Right? Now, if you know what's making you feel insecure, if you know someone is lying to you and you just want, you know, you just want it out, you don't want to entertain this anymore, then it's easy to have a simple conversation instead of spending a long time kind of observing this person and trying to figure it out for yourself. Just be very open and honest about it. Now, if you're the one who by some chance is the one who's being dishonest, I would suggest, especially if you're dealing with water signs, that you not try to lie to their face because it's just not going to work. And the other real possibility that you have to look at here is that your trust issues stem from you knowing yourself and knowing that you can't be trusted. And knowing that if you were doing the things that your, significant other partner, potential partner is doing, it would be very problematic. It would be a huge problem. Now, when we take a look at all these different themes, the one thing that sticks out to me, this overarching theme, is of things being close enough, things getting bad enough, things getting so enough, whatever it is, that you realize that it doesn't make you happy and it's not enough. You stop settling. I'm not sure how this mix of stress about money and love and having to discern who's telling you the truth, I'm not sure why in this particular set of energies and transits coming up, do you finally decide that you're not going to settle anymore? It seems like actually the worst time to be making this decision, but at the same time, I totally get it. Now, in the extended, we're going to talk more in part 2. We're going to talk more about what's revealed during this eclipse that's coming up, and then what happens after the 16th. We're going to talk about money, and we're going to shuffle through here and really get into this idea of being unsafe, because you're going to toy with it over and over again in terms of money, in terms of relationships, in terms of yourself. All through November, there is this kind of 3-headed ping pong game going on. And if you're on the right side of it, it's wonderful and you feel really protected and really safe with this triumvirate. But if you're feeling on the outside of it, it could make your trauma worse. It could make you even more suspicious because, God forbid, you stop trusting yourself. It's a huge problem. So we want to catch this suspicious behavior. We want to catch, any sort of problematic thought processes that are popping up. We want to make sure that we're getting during this eclipse what we're getting our money's worth with this eclipse by using this energy to look deeply and with a lot of strength at what makes you feel insecure. What is it? Now, the other thing before we move on to part 2 that you have to remember about November is that all of the major transits are happening in fixed signs. As a mutable sign, that's where a large part of your out of step feeling is coming from. But it is something that continues and something that you'll have to adjust to. Okay? Good? Good. I love you. I'll see you in part 2 in just a minute. It is available at the Patreon link below and the Vimeo link below, and there's a link for personal readings. I'll see you in just a second.